Good. All right. Well, welcome. Oh my God, this is very exciting. We have people here from as far north as Canada and Maine. I don't know who's higher. And we have a visitor from Rhode Island and from Connecticut and Mexico. We have people here that we haven't seen in a while. And there's even a name I don't know. So I'm so happy. I mean, January has historically been one of our favorite months of the year because it's our reset and our reconnection to the science of mind teaching. But it's so fun to see a wide variety of faces from all over the place here. I welcome you. Even some different communities are here today. So how fun is that? So welcome all. I'm going to indulge in bringing together two different things with you today. Um, so we're gonna kind of ride a wave because my prayers with my partners have been, let me leave it all on the table this month. Let me make sure that when I walk away, I do so having given you what I believe is, the critical pieces of the teaching. But for the moment, I love this affirmation. Yes, I know I wrote it, but I would like you to read it again with me if you still have it in the chat, because I want you to feel the power of it when we ingest it and we really speak the words. I'm going to read it aloud. Please join me. I am unstoppable because I am a powerful, potent, and amazing being, bringing truth, joy, and conviction of principles everywhere I go. Every breath I take is an affirmation of my connection to the one, and this one reminds me of my value every day in every way. Oh, yes. I am also the presence of love. I speak it, I ponder it, and I surrender into the love that created me. This year is my year, the year that my heart sings, that my body gets and remains healthy, that prosperity surrounds me, and the year that I feel fully and wonderfully expressed in the most amazing and wonderful ways. And so it is. So hopefully, because you read it again, you let it sink even more deeply into it. I want you to know I typed that out for my own daily reminder, because the mind loves the juiciness of that. So although you're muted, please repeat after me. Today is the most glorious day of my life, and I am the place where love resides. So somewhere between Dawn Lee's treatment and the affirmation, I feel like the lesson has already been spoken. It's so weird being back on Zoom after all this time and seeing you in person. I got to tell you, I just need a couple people to unmute. I need to hear some sound. My title for today is We Start Out in Life Bumping Up Against All Sorts of Roadblocks. And we are convinced, unfortunately, that we are functioning under a dark cloud when nothing is further from the truth. And I'm sure that you have had opportunities and run-ins where life looks hard, and there is an aspect of life looking hard. I mean, uh, the most practiced religious scientist at times has had to really do their work. They have had to really do their work in order to activate the law. I am constantly seeing where we know things, but we're not activating them. That is probably one of the most frustrating things for me as a teacher, for practitioners, for anyone trying to deliver the message, is trying to get people to close the gap between what they know and what they actualize through either spiritual practice, through spiritual practices. Um, and it gets really kind of hard because I know I feel like a broken record. I don't want to feel like a broken record, but I do. And anyone teaching this stuff, we kind of feel like a broken record sometimes. Um, and yet, because it's so simple, I mean, Ernest Holmes said that if we summed up this teaching into one thing, it would be, it is done unto you as you believe. Now go and be that. But it doesn't quite work that simply, does it? It's not quite that simple. So 2000, October 6, 2022 was our first Sunday celebration at the 12 Miles West Theater in Montclair. And a few of you were there. A few of you were there with me. And this was the first reading from the textbook that I read at that time. So I'm going to bring it to you again today. I'm going to be doing a little bit more reading than usual today. Let us then approach the science of mind, the science of spiritual psychology with awe, but not with fear, with a truly humble thought, but not with a sense that we are unworthy. Let us approach it normally, happily, willing to accept, glad to experiment, hoping and believing that as the result of our efforts, we shall each derive a great good, a sound understanding of the natural laws of life as they apply to the individual and your relationship to the whole universal scheme of things. This is the simple meaning of true metaphysical teaching, the study of life and the nature of the law, governed and directed by thought, always conscious that we live in a spiritual universe, that God is in, through, around, and for us. There is nothing supernatural about the study of life from the metaphysical viewpoint. That which today seems to be to us, that which seems to us to be supernatural after it is thoroughly understood will be found spontaneously natural. And Holmes speaks frequently about the spontaneous nature of life. He has reminded us over and over again, we were not, and so this takes away the idea of fate. We are not a teaching of fate. We are a teaching that we allow the presence by any name, by any way that you call it, that as we allow it to demonstrate through us, demonstrating through me is going to look very different than demonstrating through Simon or Lori or Clive, because we bring our individual consciousness, belief system, way of being. And so spirit cannot determine that when it moves through me, it's going to look like anyone else. And the more we love and embrace and allow and accept this movement, the more we align with it, the more it happens. You are in charge of it happening. Our conscious mind is the gatekeeper. And the more we say yes and we accept and we allow, then the more that activity happens. So what I'm also doing, what I want to do for you for this month is we're going to do the first 4 introductory chapters, but then I'm also going to blend it with a little bit of the 4 realms of consciousness that we teach in many of the classes. So the first one is to me. And that's where and I'm just air quoting here, that's where we look at when we have had victim consciousness, when and if that has happened. So victim consciousness makes us feel like I can't do anything, that I'm incapable of moving out of my own way, that I'm incapable of fixing the relationship, that I'm incapable of getting those bills paid. And yet nothing is further from the truth. To me is where many of us start out, and maybe sometimes you dip into it because it happens, right? Anybody admit every once in a while it happens, right? But the fact is, you and I are not. We've never have been, and we were never meant to be victims to circumstance. Never, ever, ever. And the more we loosen our hold on how we have to think through this and allow we can be in like a dance with spirit, with life, with love, with God, by any name. But the first level of consciousness is oh, this is happening to me. And then next week, we'll talk about by me. That's where we think, we know there's a God. We progress to there. We know there's a God, or we know there's a power, but then we think we have to drive that power. Now, that's better than being a victim, because at least we have some clue that we can do something about what's going on. But it still tends to leave us feeling like we have to force something. And then the third one is through me. This is where most of us live. This is where most of us practicing metaphysicians live. This is where hopefully the practitioners live, the practice people. And we all get there, but the point is, the more we are in alignment, the more we are studying, the more we know that it is spirit through us. And then the last one, in the levels of consciousness, it's normally called as us. But on that particular Sunday, I'm gonna present to you, use me, so that we really embrace what is, we embrace the power and take it into the world. And many years ago, it's funny, I guess Ray Atkins isn't here today. Not that he would remember, but I when I want to give a plug for meditation. My meditation life hasn't stayed as consistently as it was in the beginning, and that has everything to do with just my life and responsibilities and children and grandchildren and all of that. Yes, meditation is part of my life, but before we started the community, my meditation practice was deep and long. There was long periods of time that I would be in silence. And what happened was that somewhere through this silence and the connection with the one, I learned things that I didn't study. I downloaded ideas, concepts, thoughts, presuppositions that I had not studied. And I was frequently running into people who were telling me, or who would ask me, "Wow, did you read?" And they'd name an author. "Did you study?" And they'd name somebody. And I hadn't. Now, this is not to say there's anything special about me, but it's about all of us. Because when you and I get quiet enough, when we close our eyes, and closing your eyes is a very important part of what we do. Sometimes I peek when prayer is going on, and sometimes when people are praying, you're not still. I want to encourage you to be still when anybody's praying. Stop moving around and just absorb. Because the closing of our eyes, the purpose of that is to close off distraction from form. Because once things are in form, they're in form. But when we close our eyes, we're in where we can dance in that creative mode in a much greater way. So we close our eyes to not be distracted. And all of that meditation that I was doing, I had understanding about things. I had understanding about the ego. I had, like, the funny thing is that people will be enamored with a certain author. I'm like, oh, but I knew that, which is kind of what happens. But you and I, we do that. We can do this together. I mean, we don't have to do it together, but anybody listening, quiet your mind long enough, close your eyes long enough, go within long enough, and you too will access the resources, the guidance, the inspiration that is everywhere available. I really want to convince you of this. Michael Beckwith has nothing nothing that you don't have if you turn within. And that's not to take anything away from Michael. Michael's brilliant. But any of those teachers, any of them. And I want you to trust yourself. You know, last year when I was 60, I don't remember, I did a talk a couple of birthdays ago, and it was about embracing our inner intelligence because I'm at an age where it feels like I was getting a little rusty. And I wanted to support individuals in believing in themselves, in their own strength, right? So and all of this was banked off of the reality that I didn't have any degrees. The degrees are good, but it's not the same as you accessing the genius that exists everywhere. And I found I didn't know this, but Maya Angelou, who's a beloved inspiration for many of us, she had no college degree. I didn't know that, but she taught at the college. She taught in many colleges. So trust the presence as you. Trust it. If you feel in doubt, stop and go back inside. So the metaphor I had come up with that I found out years later was not unique. But the one I mentioned Ray Atkins just because he happened to be at the Paoli church on the day I remember, teaching about this. But I want you to think about the stages of consciousness as this. You have something you want to do or you want to change. You just have something about life that isn't quite working. And so you want to do something about it. So that's like kind of sitting on the bank of a beautiful stream that's moving, and you're pondering the problem, but you're pondering it from the bank when indeed your solution is downstream. But you're sitting there. There's a canoe there. There are paddles there. And you sit there like, what's the problem? And then something dawns on you and you say, oh, maybe I can use this canoe. Maybe I can use the paddles. And so you take the canoe, you put in the water, take the paddles, you put in the canoe. But what happens is you're still not quite plugged in. So you start feverishly paddling upstream against the flow. And you pump and you pump and you pump. You make a little distance. You get somewhere with that. But you're sweating, you're struggling, and if you're me, you're cursing because of the effort. And you're fighting and fighting. And then something else happens. Somewhere the voice inside, because you are struggling, but you're open, and the voice says, turn the canoe around. So you turn the canoe around, and now it's heading downstream, but you're still paddling, which is great. That's a great, great place to be. You are paddling downstream, and it's definitely easier. And you're in the flow with the river, with the stream. And then something else happens. There's another moment where again and I don't mean a whispering like something outside of yourself. It's your own inner wisdom being heard, becoming heard. And suddenly you hear, take the paddle out of the water. And you take the paddle out of the water, and the stream carries you and the canoe downriver because you're in the flow. These are the stages of consciousness that we go through. And as we envelop, invite in, this is what we are naturally taken through. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. So what that's saying to you is stop efforting. Stop efforting. Stop trying to force. Stop trying to push. But I'll give you a story of me not doing something right. A simple thing. It just happened. So in my town, there's a Facebook page. It's called Buy Nothing Denville. And I know some of your towns have this under different names. And Buy Nothing Denville is a place where where when I have something I don't want to keep anymore, I post a picture of it and other people come and take it. So people are giving and receiving things all. And if you really want something, you got to be on that page because you'll miss it quickly. And so someone wrote at the beginning of January, let's do something different this year. Let's start January without shopping. Let's start January without, except for food needs. Let's remember to come to this page and ask for something that you might want to see if someone has it before you go out and buy it. Sounds good, right? It's whole bit reducing, reducing, reducing. I'm sure it won't reduce Amazon's bottom line too much, but reducing, reducing. And so I wrote publicly, yeah, I'll do that. And I really loved the idea. So I said I would do that. And then what happened was a couple days later, and I'm taking Christmas out of my house and boxing it up. And I was left with a dark spot in my bathroom. And I love Himalayan salt lamps. And I wanted one. And I thought, oh, and I thought about the page. But I thought, oh, who's going to have a salt lamp? What an odd thing, right? So I didn't go on the page. Now I also might, I'm to be honest, I was being a little emotional. I had some things I've been dealing with, so I was a little emotional. I wasn't in my most grounded place. So I go on Amazon and I find exactly what I want and I order it. And then I go on the page and guess what someone's getting rid of? A Himalayan salt lamp. So I want you to get this. When you and I speak a word, it is a word of commitment. It's our integrity. Even when you're not saying, oh, I promise to, oh, I commit to. Your word is your bond with God. Your word is your bond with Source. It doesn't have to be a large declaration. It doesn't have to be. But your word is good as gold. And when you doubt, you will feel the doubt. And there I was. I made a commitment. I'm going to do this. And then immediately I doubted it. And the lesson, thank God, was gentle. Sometimes we speak our word and we don't keep our word. And our word is not so gentle. Sometimes the universe, it slaps you up the side of the head, right? You've had those experiences. What is this? I just see a text here. I can't see the text. I don't know where it is. Sorry. Oh, wait.
Now, I just put in there a quote from Ernest Holmes. He says, you can't say one word is creative and another is.
Ah, thank you. There you go. Who you are is a creative being, and the more you buy into it, and I say buy into it because it is a conscious choice. Must be a conscious choice that you align with that which wants to create through you. But your word is bond. So if you're critical of somebody, I'm not so sure how that is creating, but it is creating. If you are critical of yourself, you are creating self-doubt. Do you understand every word? It is not, and I usually like to say that it is not very exact, like you have a little leeway, but over time, the more you're in this. So if you're brand new, there is a little bit more leeway, not because spirit isn't responding to the word, but because you might be less aligned. Maybe your spiritual practices are not completely synced up. But the more experienced metaphysician you are, the more you are synced up with spirit, the stronger your word, the stronger your bond. And there is no room for you to say, oh, I didn't really mean that, God. There's no room for that. We live by the principle that spirit is all there is. That spirit is all there is. I mean, even now, as you're listening to me, and I'm just going to put out one request. If anybody who's not on screen might be willing to come on screen, I always like to ask, because the fact is now we're maybe thousands of miles from each other, and I'd really love to see your faces. I really would love to see your faces. Thank you. And I don't care what you look like. I just want to see your face. So I thank you for doing that. I really do. I appreciate those of you who are coming on. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you. Oh, you're also beautiful. That's a good thing. So God is in this pen. God is in the technology through which you are hearing me. God is the screen that you can see us on. God is I don't know if they're air waves. I'm not quite sure how to speak about the technology. God is the technology. God are the faces that you're looking at now. God is the clothes that you're wearing. Everything is the body of God. Say that out loud by yourself right now. Everything that is in form is the body of God. So if all of form is the body of God, then you know that there was a cause that caused that. Everything gets created twice. Once in thought and consciousness. So someone thought about creating this pen, and then it was actualized. So everything gets created twice. But what you and I love seeing all you now. Thank you. What we're doing though is that when you're there are cultures in many different cultures where what they do is they love on their life. They might touch a dining room table that says, "Oh, this is my table that my family eats at." They think of the Jewish mezuzah, blessing a house, that their house is blessed when they come and they go. Imagine if you and I really just took on the practice that said, "Oh, thank you, computer, for bringing me these people. Thank you to the power that allows this to happen, to the electricity," and imagine if we lived in that gratitude so completely that all of our being was fired up every time. It takes your conscious involvement to actualize. Okay, I want to read something else to you. And we had, by the way, folks, the Sunday morning Science of Mind study, it is worth you getting out of bed for. Truly, it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And right now I'm aware that Reverend Dawn Lee and Nettie Bonner, one of our practitioners, they're both practitioners, they are collaborating on that, and I thank you for that. But if I were you, sometimes on Sunday morning, I'd get up at 9 o'clock to tune in because it is worth it.
Actually, Michelle, that's Cindy. And
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, right, that's right. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Cindy and Nettie. Yeah, I don't know how I got that confused, but so on page 28, and you don't have to go looking it up. A prayer is a movement of thought within the mind of the one praying, along a definite line of meditation that is for a specific purpose. Why do we talk so often about praying for another if what Holmes is saying is it's here? I'll tell you why. Because it is our consciousness. We are shifting our consciousness. When I pray for another, it happens because the shift happens, because I am shifting what I bring to the table. I am shifting how I see them. I am shifting how I engage in them. Now, I'm sorry, I wanted to give you the link to this book, Your Invisible Power. by Ernest Holmes, not to be confused with the book by Genevieve Baron. But I want to read to you just a couple of the opening paragraphs. I don't know why. It was on Amazon. We just did a book study with this thing. I don't know where it went. Suddenly I can't find it on Amazon. But in this book, it's one of Holmes' most mystical writings. And at the beginning of the book, it's like he's kind of acknowledging initially a little bit that we're still trying to engage spirit, but by the end, he speaks from his ascended self. It's very powerful. So he opens oh wait, that's not the right one. Hold on one second. On page 5, it's under the chapter of God, your silent partner. We are in partnership with the infinite mind. The name of this partnership is God and Company, the supreme intelligence, the universal creative order, the dynamic law, and the all perfect presence. This is God, the silent partner. You can see how unattached he is to the labels, right? He's completely unattached because it's for us to have our relationship. We are the company. This partnership cannot be dissolved, for this union was never created. It always has been and always must remain. So what he's saying is you have never been outside of God except for in your thinking. Only in your thinking have you possibly separated yourself when if and when you affirm that you are alone, you are discounting your connection to the all that is, that ever was and always will be. You can't undo it. You cannot have fun with it. You can speak against it. You can use doubt and fear that will, lessen the desired result, but you cannot not be in it. If you understand what I'm saying, if you want to buy into this, just raise your hand. Let me see that you're buying into this. This is you and your relationship with you. This is not relationship with me. This is not relationship with the center specifically. Thank you. I see the hands. This is relationship with the aspect of you that is wonderfully, amazingly, perfectly alive at all times. You are the power. And as he said, this is speaking about your invisible power. I want to read a little bit more from this. We are in league with the universe and this company with which we do business, having its center everywhere and its circumference nowhere. Being omnipresent, being omnipresent is localized wherever, catch this, wherever thought and consciousness function. Wherever we place our attention, there the company is doing business. Wherever this company does business, there is divine activity. It is absolutely, positively critical that you say yes to you, that you accept and allow you, that you accept and allow the power of you. A couple more pieces from the textbook, still on 28, the bottom. And this is where it gets a little confusing because we say God is all there is, and then we pray, it makes it seem like we're praying outside. And then we talk about being all powerful, but we don't feel powerful. But he sums it up like this: we shall never encompass God, and yet we shall always be in God and of God. So you and I are not the totality, but we have complete access at all times. We are the effect to its cause, and yet we are cause ourselves. It's a little confusing, I know, but both exist. Karen Cooper, is that a question or is that a high five? I think maybe it's a high five. Okay, one more piece. And by the way, I'm happy to hang out today and chat. If you guys have questions about this, you want to talk, it'd be lovely. Okay. The conscious mind. Now, this is very important. The conscious mind is superior to the subjective and may consciously use it. Great as the subconscious is, its tendency is set in motion by conscious thought, and in this possibility lies the path to freedom. This is when, often, not always, individuals feel confused when myself included, when teachers tell you to speak affirmations and you're saying, but it's not true, or I don't have the money that's in my wallet, or I don't feel as good as you want me to affirm. This is where faith comes in. Not faith in God, but faith of God. Faith of God. This is where anybody, can after the fact call something good. But a master metaphysician calls something good before they see the result. I want you to get that. A seasoned and practiced metaphysician calls something good, calls something love, calls something perfect. They label it with the most potent and powerful things prior to seeing the evidence, because that's how we create the evidence. Karen Cooper, your hand is still up. I just want to make sure you actually didn't want to ask a question. Okay, she took it in. I just don't want to ignore somebody. I'm currently teaching the class Science of Mind Basics, as some of you are in there with us. And I know there's, we have different levels of experience. For some of you, it's totally like left over and like, oh, we're doing this again. And some of you are strengthening, and we even have disagreement. I love the disagreement because it makes us, unpack things and pull it apart. But what my want and dream for each of you, the main want and dream for everyone that has ever crossed the threshold of CSL&J, is that you not be distracted by effect. That you not be distracted even by a diagnosis that you've paid a lot of money for. You might have to get the diagnosis, but you get the diagnosis and you go to principal anyway. Or I should say, in addition to. You have to go to the doctor. You don't like doctors. You have to take a medication. I know if I've said this before, but like I said, I'm leaving it all on the table. We bless the medication. And we bless our bodies that the doctor has made the best choices, the choice, that the medication is the best right medication, and that our body is willing to receive it. Yes, Holmes said God is in the pill and in the prayer. Yes, God has said that. But we have to put the God in the pill by claiming it. I last week at our last celebration, we read the Sermon by the Sea, the gender neutral version, and I want you to know that it is on our website. It is on our website. So if you want that, and I'm telling you that because again, I love when Holmes is in his highest, it's 2024 and Holmes hasn't been around since 1960. So we're not going to make the same mistake as, like um, worshiping the individual. I don't want you to worship the individual, but I want you to ingest what he taught. It's like when I think about Jesus, there's a lot of people that say Jesus is Savior. I'm not interested in being saved, but I'm interested to what inspired that individual. I want to know, what did he know? What did he plug into? What did he bring? And how did he open to this powerful healing consciousness, which you and I can do? But it is absolutely, absolutely critical that we know that everything that is, everything that is, everything is the essence and the movement of spirit. You and I can't be outside of it. I'm just looking at my notes. So close your eyes for just a second, if you will. Even if you're off screen, close your eyes. Just stop moving for just a moment. Close your eyes. And go and just take a little bit of quiet inventory about how you're feeling right now. Are you excited, or are you confused? Are you feeling inspired? Or are you feeling like you just don't know what's actually going on? But take a little bit of quiet inventory, and while you're in there, while you're there, I'm going to whisper some whisperings for you as if I'm speaking through you. So hear these affirmations as your own, please. I am open to the love that exists in me in all moments. I am open to the presence of God as my guide, as my inspiration, as my source. I am open to feeling what needs to be felt, so I am empowered to move to higher conscious ground. I accept my good from all directions, good that's known and not known, expected and unexpected. I am willing to be seen. I am willing to be loved. I am willing to be seen as worthy and powerful and potent. I am willing. I am willing. I accept and I allow. Just feel into that for a moment. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. This is our universe. This is our church. This is our church. Your body temple is your church. Do you care for your church, your temple, as you do your home? I don't mean just the physical, but the mental, emotional, and heart space. Because that's your job. Your job is to clean it, to love it, to embrace it, to allow it, and to definitely get the heck out of the way and let spirit does what it does through you. So as you're listening to me right now, just ask yourself, what have I not allowed myself to reach for because I thought I couldn't? What have I not allowed myself to generate because I thought I couldn't? And start to break down that limitation. Break it down. Okay, I'm going to treat, and yet I'm going to ask you all to unmute because I want the chaos of the room. Believe it or not, I want the sounds. So if you're willing to. All right.
Yes,
Make believe we're holding hands.
that's right.
You want to raise your hands and
Mhm.
feel the presence of the one.
Power and the presence is here with
Yes,
me
it
all
is.
the time.
Wait.
I am just-
We're not all treating. I'm treating.
Okay.
Thank you, though. But Marilyn, see, Marilyn, she's good to go. She's like Marilyn Street. She's got it. I just wanted to hear the sounds and everything. Oh, so we just take one more quick moment to get reconnected,
Yes,
accept and
yes.
allow the presence, the power, the love of the God that flows through in and as us. I call this time good. It's so very good. I call this opportunity good. And so very good.
Consciously.
And I trust right now, I trust that there is movement of mind that is holy, that is beautiful and sacred. And it shows up through each of us as love, as wealth, as creative self-expression, as joy, as enthusiasm. You and I am the place where love resides.
Uh-huh.
I am the place where spirit resides. I am the place that is holy and sacred. So let us accept and allow it as a reality that is yes.
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 Oh, yes. I call this
Amen.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
yes. So I release this word and I simply say, and you could say with me, arousing and
And
so
so
it
it
is.
is, lady.
Yes.
Yes.
So it is.
Yay.
And so it is.